My name is Lexi Blizzard. I have been homeschooling my daughters, who are 8 and 9 years old, for about 14 months now. I have 6 children. My 8 and 9-year old are the two oldest, and then I have a 2-month old, a 2-year old, 3-year old, and a 4-year old. So we have been homeschooling since January of last year, so about 14 months now. When I started homeschooling the girls, we pulled them out of school halfway through the year, and they were going to a private Christian school. We pulled them out halfway through the year. I must have watched hundreds of videos trying to pick a curriculum and trying to pick the best one. At first, we were using The Good and the Beautiful. That's what we did to finish out their school year last year. And then again, at the beginning of this school year, I found myself watching more and more videos trying to pick curriculum. So I thought, now that we've been using this curriculum and I really, really like it, my girls really, really enjoy it, they're doing so well with it, I wanted to do a video just kind of highlighting what we like about it. And yeah, so I'm gonna just kind of talk through it first. This is Math with Confidence. This is the 3rd grade. I'll do a different video for 4th grade so that we can do like a little flip through of it. So if you're interested in 4th grade, I'll do a different video for that. I'll link it below. But this is the 3rd grade curriculum. And so I'm going to talk through it first and just kind of explain like what we like about it and everything. And then I'll flip the camera and just kind of flip through the pages so you can see them better. So the 3rd grade Math with Confidence curriculum comes with student workbooks. So there's A and B. So units 1 through 8 are in their workbook A. And then units 9 through 16 are in their workbook B. And the workbook is literally just the workbook. There's zero teacher direction in that. And then it comes with the teacher, like the instructor guide. So this is what I go through, and this is all 16 lessons in it. Now, what I really enjoyed about this at the beginning, before we even started, is it kind of makes you feel, I know it's called Math with Confidence, so this is so cheesy to say, but it does make you feel confident, like getting ready to teach your kids, because it really walks you through. So I'm just going to show you this. So it walks you through like what to expect as a parent. It literally is like an open and go curriculum where you can read verbatim what it says, so you don't have to remember how to do fractions and how to subtract fractions or long division or any of those things that you're teaching them. So it's like it tells you in the beginning, read the bold verbatim, and then it kind of gives you pointers for like if you feel like your child is finding something too easy or finding something too challenging, like here's what you can do and here's where to pivot, or it just makes you feel more confident in your ability to teach your child and have success using the curriculum. So I really did enjoy that. I also really like how at the beginning it has a supplies list, so you're not like blindsided when you get to a unit and you need number blocks or fraction circles or like counters, deck of cards. We use the cards so much. So it has like a supplies list, which I loved because I was able to just very easily go on Amazon, buy all of the supplies. We have a little math box that everything is in. I'm trying to find it. So we just like went down the list, and it kind of tells you like what you're going to be using it for. So it's not just like a checklist of materials. You can decide if you think that you're going to need something, or if there's something around your house that you can use instead of, spending money on Amazon or whatnot. So I really did enjoy that. I liked too how we got the 3rd grade and the 4th grade, and a lot of the items were the same. So I feel like if you're going to use this curriculum from year to year, you won't necessarily have to be buying like a new supplies list every year. You can kind of just add a thing or two each year. Like I know the 3rd grade had most of the 4th grade stuff except for like a protractor, maybe a couple other things, but it was very similar. So I wasn't buying a ton of different things, and I don't have to have 2 math boxes. It's all just one math kit, and And that's also very helpful for me because we have 6 kids. So eventually we'll be homeschooling all 6 of them, and I don't want to have 6 different math kids. So I thought that was really great. And then the thing that I really like most about this, and this is what another mom told me that made me decide, okay, we're going to get this instead of we were using the good and the beautiful before. Each of these lessons, it is a spiral method, which means like, because I didn't know what any of this stuff was when we first started. So I'm just going to explain it all like I needed it to be explained at the beginning. So spiral is when you teach a new lesson and then the kids do a review of things that were learned in previous lessons. So they're not like forgetting things that you taught them a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. So with Math with Confidence, I really like how every single lesson is exactly the same in terms of how it's set up. So you have a page that, and I'll show you in the kids' workbook. So like this lesson, let me find one that she didn't write all over. Right. So lesson 13.5, and they're all the same. So you have at the top where it says lesson activities, and it has the 2 people. This is what I'm reading in my teacher book, lesson 13.5. It'll tell me exactly what we're doing here, how I'm teaching her this lesson. So every single lesson has this first page as lesson activities that you're doing together, and this is what you're teaching them. Then the second page of the lesson is always a practice page and it has the little one person up here. So they're practicing what you taught them in the lesson. They're practicing it by themselves to make sure that they comprehend what they just learned. And it's just one page of that. And then the third page of the lesson is a review. So this is where the spiral method comes in, where these are things that have nothing to do with what they just learned. It's all just review of things that they learned in the past. So we teach the lesson and do page 1. They practice what they just learned on page 2, and then page 3 is all just review of things that they learned different, like at a different time. And so I really like that because we know going into it every single day that this is the setup. You have one page that we're doing together, you have one page that you're practicing what we just learned, and then you have your review page. So while I'm teaching like my 4th grade daughter, I can tell my 3rd grader, hey, go do your review page, and then we'll do your lesson. And she doesn't have to have the lesson taught to her first because the review has nothing from the new lesson. So I hope that makes sense. And that I thought was just really great because I liked the structure of knowing that every single day, and I like my girls knowing that this is the structure, that every single day math includes 3 pages. One we do together, one you practice the new stuff, and one you review old topics. Another thing that I really, really love about this curriculum is that it's game-based. So almost every lesson, I don't want to say every lesson because there are some that don't have the games, but majority of the lessons have a game. So when you're teaching the lesson, it's like part A, you kind of introduce the concept. Part B, you maybe go a little bit more in depth on what you're teaching them. And then part C is typically a game. So our favorite games are usually like the card games, or they have like little board games drawn in here, like printed in here that we'll do. So this is one of them. This is like a treasure hunt game. And it tells you in the instructor manual like how to play the game, but I just really like that because it makes it fun, it makes it exciting, and a lot of times I can have my 3rd grader and my 4th grader play together, which is great because then my 4th grader is practicing things that she should have mastered at this point, and my 3rd grader is getting to play and learn with her older sister. So this is kind of what I'm talking about, like the lesson, this is the page that I'm teaching. So we have part A, introducing it, part B, just doing a little bit more, and then part C is a fun game to really make sure that they're understanding it. And then you have the next page will be where they practice it on their own. And I just really love that because especially my one daughter has ADHD, and so to get her to just like do worksheets and stay engaged and want to learn the new things in math, especially as they get more complex and a little bit more frustrating for her. Like fractions was so hard to teach in our old curriculum because it was just like there wasn't any of like the game or the play involved. It was just looking at a worksheet and trying to teach it on paper or a whiteboard. So I really, really like how this has the activity, the game. And it's not just all looking at a piece of paper and trying to explain it on paper. So those are probably my favorite things about this curriculum. I also really like how the units are laid out. So each unit has, like on average, I would say 9 or 10 lessons. I'm not even really sure. But they like give you different ideas at the beginning of the unit for, you know, here's some picture books you can get that kind of go along with this unit's topic. Here's what your child should have mastered by the end of the unit. If they don't have this mastered by the end of the unit, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And that, as a parent, makes you feel much better because, again, I'm just going to keep referencing fractions because that's what we're doing in 4th grade, and it's been a rough one. But it hasn't been that rough with this curriculum because it's basically told us, like, hey, if she doesn't have this, and this mastered, it's okay. Like, move on, practice a little bit more division, do this unit and that unit, and then go back to it. And it just makes you feel more confident as a parent who is not a math teacher to be like, okay, this is fine. And this, you know, we don't want to get frustrated. We don't want to keep trying to like force something that she's just not grasping because we want math to be fun. We want her to want to learn. So I do really like that, how at the beginning of the unit, it's like, here's some resources, here's some extra practice tips, here's some picture books you can get, and here's what they should have mastered, here's what they don't need to really have mastered. And then last thing I'll show before we just like lay it flat and kind of flip through, at the end of each unit, there's the answer key for every lesson. And then there is, and it's not in the teacher one, it's in the kids one. There's a unit wrap up. And one, I like that it's called a unit wrap up and not a quiz because it just makes it more like, I just want the kids to know that the goal of the unit wrap up is to make sure that they're understanding and comprehending everything. And we can kind of gauge like, okay, we need to work a little bit more on this, or we need to practice that a little bit more. So I'm not trying to like test them or quiz them. Like, let's make sure you were paying attention. It's more like, let's make sure that you actually understand what you're doing. Like, we're not trying to memorize anything here. We're trying to fully comprehend whatever this, you know, topic is. So we have the unit wrap up. And the unit wrap up is typically only like 2, maybe 2.5. I don't even know that it's ever been 3 pages. It's usually 2. And it just goes over like, it's literally this page and then the next page. And it just gives you like 1 or 2 questions of everything that was taught in that unit. I feel like they are so, it's just done so well that everything that needs to be retained and understood within the unit is on the unit wrap up. So you're not questioning as you move on to the next unit, like, I hope they actually understood what we just learned. I really, really enjoy that. I feel like on our last curriculum, it wasn't as predictable when it came to like how everything is laid out, with it being a lesson we do together, a practice they do themselves, and the review page. And I also feel like the unit wrap up or review or whatever it was called was, I found myself like always crossing things out, like do this but don't do that, because I don't feel like they need to do more than 2 or 3 questions on each topic to show that they understand whatever it is we learned in that lesson. So I felt like in their old curriculum, it was a little bit longer and more, they like dragged it out a little bit more on the unit review. And I really don't want it to feel like a test day or a quiz day. I want it to be like, I want to make sure for myself and for their benefit that they're fully comprehending and understanding what they need to understand. And so I like how the unit wrap up is done here, because there's no like, I don't know, I don't like argue with my kids. Like, they willingly do school, they love doing homeschool, but there's no like, oh, do I have to do, like, this is taking forever or whatever, you know. So I just think it's laid out so well, especially if you have a child who's like ADHD, and it just helps to have like that very, you know, routined curriculum. My third grader is, so even if your child is not ADHD, my third grader, she's just very, very quick to learn. And so with this, another like benefit of it is that we are able to, if we go through a lesson, like if we get to a new lesson and she's like, oh, I know how to do this because she overheard me teaching her sister, or she learned it just by asking me different questions and playing different games, like as a family. I feel like she's just always learning things on her own. So sometimes we'll get to a lesson and she'll be like, oh, I already know how to do this. And what I like about it is I can be like, okay, that's perfect. Do the practice page. And as long as you get all of those correct, I don't need to teach you. Like, I'm not going to waste either of our time. I don't need to teach you something that you already know. And as long as she can do the practice page, then we're good, and we just move on to the next lesson. So I really do like that. I also like how it's just laid out in a way that we can even do the practice page out loud. Like, I can point to something random and be like, okay, then tell me what this is. And if she can tell me quickly without having to think too hard, or, you know, I can just kind of like, it's predictable. Every lesson is the same, and I love that. It makes it easy if your child has ADHD and might struggle in some things. And it makes it easy if your child is just a very fast learner, because you can quickly figure out what you do and do not need to spend time on. So I love that. So now I'm going to flip the camera somehow and just kind of flip through the pages so you can see for yourself how it's laid out, because I know that that was really, really helpful when I was searching for a curriculum. So I'm just going to flip through the beginning here. I'm not going to like show too much of the curriculum because I'm not really sure what's allowed and what's not. But this is like the introduction, where it kind of just walks you as the parent through what to expect. And then we have, this is what I was talking about, like how to create your math kit. And it's not just a checklist. It tells you, you know, hey, this is what you need. But there's also, you know, things that you can just photocopy that are in the back of the book if you want. So it does make it where you don't need to spend any money, or you can buy these supplies and make your math kit. And I really, really did enjoy that being there, because I like to be organized, and I don't like making these spontaneous like purchases because we get to a unit and realize we don't have everything we need. Okay, so then the beginning of every unit will have a page like this. So it tells you what the unit overview is, what your child will learn, a list of what each lesson is, and then the materials that you will need. And this is like what I was talking about with the books. Now, our library hasn't had many of the books, but you can request them. Or I don't know, some of the books I found helpful, some of them we didn't really need, but I like how it's an option for if there's a lesson that your child is really struggling with, you can find a book and just teach them that way. Just an added resource, and I really did like that being an option. And then it goes into, you know, just little like pointers of how to help your child. So, and then the lesson, so for the parent, this is the instructor manual. You have a warm-up, and you literally read verbatim the bold if you want. So you just read that out loud to your child. There's little pointers and tips for you as the parent, and then it goes into the actual lesson. So this is where you saw in the children's workbook, part A, part B, and then part C is a game or an activity. And then it tells you, you know, do the independent practice and review. And then you're on the next lesson. So that is literally how every lesson is laid out, and I love that it is just the same. The whole entire curriculum, third grade and fourth grade, are the same. And so now I'll show you on the student workbook. So this is what we were just looking at. So in the student workbook, it doesn't give any instruction. It's literally just for you to read out loud from your parent workbook, and then they have their workbook that they can do what it is you're reading out loud to them. And I like that because it's not distracting for them. They're not trying to read the directions on their own and listen to you. You're able to just sit together, and it just makes it better, I don't know, more like intimate, more just one-on-one instruction versus them trying to teach themselves while you teaching them. I don't know, that could be confusing. So goes through lesson activity. This is what you're doing together, part A, part B, and then this is the game. So this is like the little board game that we would use for whatever the game was for this lesson. And then you have your practice page that they practice what you just taught them, and your review, which is nothing that you just taught them, everything that they should already know. And that is just, it's so great. It's all the same. And then when you got to your unit review, wrap up, it's just very simple. It's a couple questions going through each topic, and that's it. You move on to the next unit. So that is everything that I think I have to share about the third grade Math with Confidence curriculum. We're really enjoying it. I know that I watched just so many of these videos, so I hope that this was helpful if you are considering getting this curriculum. If you have any questions or anything, if you want to see anything else, if you want to know anything else, leave a comment down below, and I will either just message you back or I'll make a new video explaining more in depth like the questions that you might have. So I hope this was helpful. Good luck on your homeschooling journey, and I will do a new video just kind of digging into the fourth grade version of this, and I'm just going to go through our whole curriculum. So subscribe, like, comment, do all the things, and we'll just grow this little homeschool community. I hope that this was helpful, and again, if you have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comments below.